Sure. So on the fat front, hey, I was a little onomatopoetic there. Fat front. You're going to look at real food-based fats, and when I say fats, and most real food-based fats are going to be one of two. That just to keep it real simple: saturated fat, which I know you probably heard of as the bad fat, along with trans fats. Yeah, trans fats are bad news, but they're not even close to being the same as saturated fats. So saturated fats. So you've got butter, coconut oil, full fat meats and cheeses, lard, those kinds of things. Those are all saturated fats, and your body actually thrives on saturated fat. Now, it's not the only good fat. There's another one called monounsaturated fats. So things like avocados and avocado oil and olive oil and those kinds of foods can all be a healthy part of a heart healthy diet, the good fats. The bad fats are the ones we've kind of talked about. The polyunsaturated fats are those vegetable oils. And I'm sorry, but the American Heart Association can take their little heart healthy symbol and shove it because it's not heart healthy at all. And I kind of explained this a little bit earlier. Why do they have that little heart healthy symbol on things like canola oil and corn oil and all these things that you see huge aisles of them, Tyler, at your grocery store full of these polyunsaturated fats? Why do they think they're heart healthy? It goes back to lowering that LDL-C number again.
Right.
And as I explained, the way it lowers it is it takes away all the good LDL particles, those big, large, fluffy kind, leaving behind those small BB-sized ones, which then oxidize, which leads to inflammation. And we got the whole story that we just talked about with inflammation.
Sure, absolutely. And so what are some other foods, Jimmy, that might cause inflammation?
Definitely processed carbohydrates, which in our day and age, it's hard to avoid.
Sure.
If you're going to buy any packaged product, just about every single packaged product has a vegetable oil and a refined carbohydrate.
It's like the bundle, right?
Yeah. And you know why, Tyler? It's because it's dirt cheap.
Right. And it
vegetable oil is exactly vegetable oils. Last forever. I mean, I've seen some Twinkies last on shelves. Blow the dust off. It's got, because it will last that long. And here's a clue. If your food doesn't spoil within a week, you're probably not eating the right kind of food. You're probably not eating food. You have food-like substances in your cabinets. Get rid of those foods and stick to real food, and you're probably going to be okay.
Absolutely.
But carbs are a big one. And people think, well, whole grains, they're healthy, healthy whole grains, artery clogging, saturated fat, healthy whole grain. We have these
There's
images
the
in our head.
stamp right there.
Exactly. And again, the reason they have that is it does lower LDL cholesterol, but it raises, this is the one they never talk about, whole grains and sugars and all these things raise triglycerides. And if I could go on a campaign to make triglyceride awareness happen, I would, because too many people are probably walking around with triglyceride levels in the triple digits. And for a lot of people, the upper triple, maybe even quadruple digits.
Wow.
One guy told me he had a 2,500 triglyceride number. That's like ungodly high.
Yeah.
And he went low carb and it dropped down in 1 month to 250.
Wow. Cut by
powerful.
10 times. Wow,
powerful.
That's really powerful. So that to me is a better way to drop your total cholesterol than trying to eat all the heart healthy whole grains and seed oils, right?
Well, and not even worry about whatever your total cholesterol. Like right now, my total cholesterol is 306.
Right.
And I really don't care that it's 306.
Sure.
Because I have an HDL cholesterol of 79. I have triglycerides that are in the upper 30s. I have a CRP, that key inflammation marker we were talking about, of 0.87.
Right.
I have a heart scan score of 0. I did the carotid artery scan, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not worried.
You have proof.
I have great proof that real hard evidence that actual disease is taking place is not taking place, right, despite having what most would consider OMG levels of total cholesterol. And I also, in preparation for Cholesterol Clarity, got a test run of my to see if I have the genetic predisposition for hypercholesterolemia, as they call it, familial hypercholesterolemia. It came back negative. It came back, you don't have it as a genetic marker. So why is it higher? Heck if I know, Tyler. But again, I don't care.
You don't care because you got the proof right there. Now,
Right.
Jimmy, some people on the call might be wondering right now, how much would it cost to get these different panels done? I'm sure some of them, your doctor are going to do it and it's going to be covered
Yeah.
under insurance, but the other ones might not. Maybe you can give us a little clarity on that.
Yeah, pretty much all of these tests that I've talked about can be done through your doctor's office. And, he might question, well, why do you want that NMR? You don't need that, but he wants to put you on a statin.
Right.
Well, before you put me on that drug, I want that test.
You don't need that. You need this.
Exactly. He can't make any money off the NMR lipoprofile, but he'll make a whole heck of a lot. Did I say that out loud? Yes, I did. So you can have those run yourself. Like, I don't have health insurance, so I have to do all the things myself. So that privatemdlabs.com, they'll do the NMR lipoprofile. They'll do the C-reactive protein test. Now, the heart scan, you do need a doctor because it's radiation. So get a doctor to at least prescribe it for you. Here in South Carolina, I can get that test run for about $100.
$100 to know whether or not you actually have clogged arteries.
And that's something.
That's crazy.
And I wish it was more readily available and people would know about it. Well, we're trying with my book to get it out there. And I know one of my cholesterol clarity experts was Wheat Belly author, Dr. William Davis. He's been out there for years talking about this whole heart scan thing. That was his thing before he was Mr. Wheat Belly.
Right.
But man, I mean, it does tell the tale.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I cannot believe that there's stuff out there that just literally tells you you are susceptible or you aren't. And these numbers don't really matter when they're just taken out of context into one big number.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have a statin deficiency because you have a total cholesterol over 200.
Absolutely. Now, Jimmy, before we take off on the call today, I want to kind of leave people with the fact that you're not just some guy making this stuff up, right? So tell us a little bit about how this book came to be, because you've interviewed some of the top doctors in the world on this. I want to make sure people understand that this is not bro science between the two of us, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So in October 2006, I started this podcast. A buddy of mine said, hey, you write really well on your blog. You'd be killer behind a microphone doing a podcast. I'm like, what the heck's a podcast? This was 2006. Nobody knew what podcasts were then. So I was like, okay, what do I do? Just talk? And just talk behind. So I started like the first 50 episodes of the Living La Vida Low Carb Show were just me ranting about high fructose corn syrup's going to kill you. It's the devil and all this kind of stuff. And then I attended one of the these like scientific conferences, and I met a lot of these MDs, and I was like, I'd like to interview a few of these people. So I started interviewing them, and I really liked that. Of course, I was like Mr. Roboto when I started. So let me tell you, and it was horrible.
Right.
You're way better than I was.
I appreciate that.
So I start interviewing these people. I'm like, man, this is kind of fun. I'm learning stuff. And so over the past 7 years and over 750 episodes, I've been able to talk with just about everybody in the whole world, around the world, on just about every subject in the realm of health. Now, I don't pretend to be a PhD, MD, RD, or any kind of D. All I do is take the information and try to make it palatable to a lay audience, because that's my mission. I was a lay person, still am, but was when I was 410 pounds. I needed somebody to talk to me in my language. I didn't need science speak. I didn't need bro speak. I needed somebody that could say, okay, this is what the science is saying, but in the language that I can understand. So when it came time that I got this book deal that I could write this book, and I was like, yeah, I definitely want to write one on cholesterol, I knew exactly who to contact as experts. So I did brand new interviews just for Cholesterol Clarity of 29 of the top experts on cholesterol, kind of picked their brains. And throughout the book, you'll see these things called Moment of Clarity. And it's basically direct quotes from the interviews that I did with these different people. Now, in addition to that, I also have a co-author, Dr. Eric C. Westman. He's an MD at Duke University in Durham. And he kind of went behind me, Tyler, and said, okay, I'm going to make sure everything, matches up with the science. And he did. Anytime anything was a little bit off, he'd say, okay, you need to rewrite this and make it say this. And, thankfully, he didn't have to do that too much. I kind of knew this pretty well.
Right.
But I had that kind of as a backup. So hopefully the credibility is there with 29 of the top, PhDs, MDs, RDs, and just leading voices in the health community, along with my Cholesterol Clarity co-author, Dr. Eric Westman, who, by the way, was also a co-author on The New Atkins for a New You, if you remember that book.
Right, right. That's fantastic, Jimmy. Thank you so much for sharing that, because it's so important that we validate everything we've just said by talking about that. It's so important that people know that there is so much research behind this. It's not just you have to go to your doctor and listen to what they say. And so thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's awesome. So Jimmy sent me an advanced copy of his book a little while back, and I've been digging through it slowly, and it is fantastic. And that's why I asked him to come back on the show. So Jimmy, where can people find your new book?
So we have a website specifically for it at cholesterolclarity.com. It's, of course, on Amazon.com and all your major retailers. Barnes & Noble has it in stock on their store shelves. So go check it out. We're working on our next one now in the Clarity series. A little sneak peek for you, Tyler. Keto Clarity is coming in August 2014.
Oh, that should be fun. We'll get you back on the show to talk all about ketones and stuff at that point. That could be a really fun show. So, Jimmy, I ask everybody this. I've asked you this probably before, but you've gone from 410 pounds, you've lost to hundreds of pounds, and you've learned so much, and you've transformed your life. What's your secret to success?
Consistency in doing what you know works for you. Too many people, they say, well, XYZ lost weight doing this, or so-and-so got their cholesterol to go down by taking this supplement. Stop looking at what other people are doing. You are the only one that can know what's right for you. You just got to remain consistent in those things that you know works for you. And so if you find what works for you, why would you stop doing what works for you? And even if you hit kind of a rough patch, and we all do, dude, I mean, I can raise my hand on that one, but you just got to remain consistent on what you know works. And if you do that, you're going to be successful for the rest of your life.
Awesome, Jimmy. Well, thank you so much for coming back on the call, for giving us some cholesterol clarity. I really appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.